Hello and welcome back to Reeling in the Peers. My name is Gary O'Brien and this is a podcast where I get some of my very good friends on to chat about and discuss all kinds of movies. So joining me today, once again, it's Sorcha Lachlan, and she's here to talk about the 1975 musical comedy horror, The Rocky Horror Picture Show. So stick around, we hope you enjoy.
Go. Happy Halloween season or something.
Spooky season.
Yeah, spooky season. Are you doing a spooky roster?
Like for the movies?
Yeah.
The plan is, so this will either come out, I don't know when this is coming out, but it'll be, don't trust me, it's going to be within spooky season. Okay?
the poo release.
The poo release. Do you want to give, so Sorcha on her calendar had pod release down, but it looked like poo release.
Yeah, handwritten. This isn't on like Google. I didn't type in poo release.
Just for anyone who has access to a keyboard right now, I want you to look at how far D is away from O and just realise how hilarious it would be if she wrote poo release instead of pod release.
So this is it. This is the poo release. We don't know when the pod will
We don't know when poo release will be, okay? We're going to have to wait with anticipation. But it's definitely part of spooky season. It's a spooky season movie, that being the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I was so happy when you said you wanted to do this, but I won't give too much away because I'm going to ask, why did you pick a movie that, you know, is so vital in your opinion to spooky season?
Oh god, you've already given me enough to talk about just in that setup. First off, I was pleasantly surprised that you were really down for it because I wasn't sure if this sort of campy musical would be on your radar, but I suppose it's more balanced by like the campiness and the silliness and that stuff. Because like it's horror in very loose inverted like commas. There's nothing actually scary about it, but it is perfect for Halloween because it's trashy, it's all like costumey, and it's a load of fun. It sort of arrived on my radar as a kid. I definitely saw this way too young. For the first time I saw it when I was like 13.
Those are the best ones. Yeah. Those are the best movies where you're just watching it like, should I?
Yeah, something twigs where you're like, I probably shouldn't be watching this. Yeah. It's not just a misunderstanding or jokes going over your head. You're like, oh, these have mature themes. So I'm
just looking, what is the rating of this movie?
It's probably nothing, probably like a 15 or... But...
I'm just getting the reviews. No, in the sense that like, I always feel like, you know when you're watching like a movie that's 18s, you know you shouldn't be watching it, but I feel like this is like PG-13 or something.
Exactly, it's something weird.
It's just the themes are just like, okay, sorry, I'm just seeing articles like, is it okay for my 17-year-old to go see Rocky Horror?
Bless. Yeah, because I watched it first when I was like 13, maybe 14 at like a sleepover, and because the girl who I was sleeping over with was obsessed with Meatloaf, because of course she was. You know, every young 14-year-old loves an old rock star from, I don't know where in America he's from, but she was obsessed with Meatloaf. So we were watching it, and like, we were budding little weirdos, so it was like, we knew that this had like, it was a name, you know, like the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And I remember being like, parts of this I do not get. And there is sex happening. And then when I was a little older again, my brother went as Frankenfurter to a Halloween party, so he had like the fishnets, the corset, and I'm like, damn, alright.
Yeah.
He pulled it off, he looked great.
But like, it's also funny as well, and like we'll talk a bit more about like what the movie's about and everything, but I just think it's so funny that a movie that has such an iconic song, The Time Warp, which you've probably heard at like a million weddings, and like I feel like it's been a song kids have danced to for years without actually knowing what it's from. So like, I'd say it's just so haunting where it's like, oh, where is this? This is a great song. Oh, that must be a good musical. And then they just sit down and watch it. And it's not until, because it's the way the movie goes, it's not till the song after Time Warp happens where you're like, oh wow, this is a movie that I was not prepared for.
Yeah, this isn't just a fun party at, and this is a quote, some hunting lodge for rich weirdos.
Yeah. Exactly.
Tim Curry shows up and just blasts everyone away. Oh my god, do I love Tim Curry in this. It's great. Like, in my notes I have like different things, and one of my notes, like for my overarching opinions and views and thoughts or whatever, is just Tim Curry, because he's just Tim Curry, man. In general. Tim Curry, like, he was all over our childhood in ways you wouldn't expect. So, like, for me, I was a big fan of the Wild Thornberrys, and he was Nigel Thornberry.
Oh my god, yeah.
Iconic voiceover actor, and in a very O'Loughlin turn of events, we had the Sleeping Beauty Christmas sequel, right?
Yeah.
On VHS. It wasn't until I was way too old, like 16 plus, that I realised that was not the actual Beauty and the Beast movie. I never questioned that Tale of Oldest Time wasn't in this movie, or Be Our Guest was in this movie. There's like a Christmas shitty sequel.
Do you know what?
Tim Curry.
Oh, I have that. And it's like, but do you know what's strange? Is that, like, I don't know, I feel like our parents used to go to, like, Extravision, and they used to get this shit for, like, free. Because I feel like everyone has these discount Disney versions, and they remember them better. Like, I still remember The Lion King 2 better than The Lion King. And I feel like our parents just used to get, like, extra ones for free, and they'd come home and be like, we got you the only Beauty and the Beast movie that we're gonna pay for.
Beauty and the Beast, A Blessed Christmas, or whatever, A Beautiful Christmas. So you'll remember that Tim Curry played the scary organ.
Yes.
With terrifying CGI.
And I read just speaking about how he's all over our childhood. It was good because I know him, I think most people would probably know him best for the Home Alone movie. I feel like that's just, for some reason, that's just the one thing. I know he's in other stuff, like he's in It, and he's in I think he's in Annie, he's in the Addams Family movies as well.
He's Clue, which is a favourite of mine.
Muppet Treasure Island.
Muppet Treasure Island.
He's a fun, yes. Anyway. But like Fern Gully as well, he plays the weird pollution thing, and that's how I kind of knew his voice first.
I was never a big Fern Gully person.
Oh, that's fair. But apparently so first of all, this movie, his first theatrical debut, which is just incredible. Yes. But also apparently for years he took on a load of like plain roles and just like boring people to try and get away from Frankenfurter, because he was like, oh, this is all people who know me as. I need to try and get back to like more regular characters. So it's interesting, like he obviously was the hotel concierge, and he was like the dad in Addams Family, who's fairly like just creepy. But like it is anyway, I just think it's just strange that that's the direction Frankenfurter went after this movie.
Yeah, I think he then maybe embraced the weirdness.
Yeah,
like probably something like It, because It was huge.
What was huge?
He was Pennywise.
What is it? Damn it!
Oh my god!
I did this in the Casino Royale podcast as well.
You're such a troll. Why are we friends with you? Why do we show up on your podcast? Why? You keep bringing me back.
This is your 8th time here. You've no excuse. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Shame on you.
Yeah. The first step is admitting I have a problem.
Exactly. So I guess the main point we're trying to talk about is, 1, Tim Curry's great, and 2, this is a great movie. I love this. It's so much fun, and I guess when you just lean into it, you can't not enjoy it, and it does exactly what it tries to achieve, I think, as well. Which is kind of just campy, overtly sexual homage to 1930 to 1970s horror movies, science fiction and horror movies.
Exactly. It's just fun. It's fun and pulpy and silly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take itself seriously, which I love.
And the best part about it is that it is now available, although we're not sponsored by them, on Disney fucking Plus.
I could not believe when you told me it was on Disney Plus that the corporate overlords of Katzenberg, or whoever's head of Disney now, Bob Iger, was like, the transsexual sex movie. Let's put that on Disney Plus. Obviously, we will be using the term transsexual as it appears in the movie. I do not believe that is quite... This was like pre-understanding gender politics.
Pre-anything.
Pre-anything.
Tim Curry was in, like, watch Fishnets and Heels, and that was outrageous.
I know.
Now there is a show that is like all about drag in a way, and it's like massive.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't bat an eye, like.
Yeah. So I think I was originally pointing out before I got distracted by the fact that it's on Disney Plus. Go watch it. It's great crack. And again, just lean into it. Have fun with it. It's wacky and wild. But we're gonna talk. There's not really many spoilers to it until the very end, so it'll be relatively spoiler free. But don't worry, we'll let you know when those spoilers are coming. But Yeah, so I guess like where do you want to start with this movie? Well, like the fantastic characters, well, the story's a bit garbage, but it doesn't matter. Like
Except the story's just there to string songs together.
Exactly.
And just like bits, just like one-liners, they all just happen in between everything else.
Yeah, and like the music is obviously great. I guess the one thing that I didn't know the first time I watched it, which was, oh, by the way, I want to mention that in case she listens. My sister is a huge fan of this movie. She loves it, and she's the person who has the box set of this and the sequel. And I'll talk about the sequel a bit later on.
There's a.
I've told you about this sequel. I'm so sure I've told you about this sequel.
You probably have. I blocked it out.
And you said you haven't seen it. I'm pretty sure you blocked it out.
But I listen to 60% of what you say.
That's fair. That's why I make so many podcasts.
Exactly. I haven't been on 8 episodes. I've been on 4. Yeah.
But good maths. And so she loves this movie, and she's the reason I've watched this. So my sister, if you're listening, thank you. But
we both have sisters called so we can just do a shout out and it'll cover them both.
I wasn't going to say their name, but just
we bleep it.
yeah, because they'll both know. But yeah, like I said, the one thing I didn't know about this is it was originally based on a musical stage production called The Rocky Horror Show, and it was written by the main man himself, Richard O'Brien, who reprises he doesn't reprise a role. I think he played Eddie in the musical, but he plays Riff Raff in this. So he wrote it. Apparently, it was one winter. He was doing a stage show in London, and he was just sitting upstairs. He used to live above, I think, and he just wrote this because he loved science fiction and horror movies. And the director he was doing the other show with heard about it and was like, "Oh, what are you doing there?" And he goes, "Let's make it a musical." And it's become this massive worldwide phenomenon. It's one of the longest running movies of all time because it's still in limited release. I think it says here 46 years, but that's right, 46 years. It's been showing around the world. It's the longest running movie of all time. It's not only just a movie, but it's an event for a lot of people because there's so many things where people go and they get dressed up as the characters and they sing along. There's parts of the movie where if a character says something, the audience replies. It's been entered into the US like National Film Registry. It's in 2005. It is one of the most iconic movies ever made.
100%. It is one of the 8 wonders of the world. The Pyramids of Giza and the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Do you want to name all of the 7? This is the 8th wonder. Do you want to know why? Because it's your 8th podcast, Sir Kenny Lachlan. There you go.
No, we brought it back.
Brought it back. So
the movie just gets into it straight away.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it. It's just like, oh, we're not just come on. We just need these people being in a spooky house, so let's go to the spooky house.
Yeah, let's not waste time with backstory. You don't need backstory for Brad and Janet. We're just getting to the spooky house. They're dating. The end. Spooky house.
No, they're dating. They love each other, and they say they're going to love each other for the rest of their lives. Enter spooky house. Everything changes.
The spooky house is the third in this relationship.
Yes. But I guess, like we said, all these scenes kind of string together the music. And as a lover of music like yourself and musicals, what are your thoughts on the music from a technical point that I wouldn't be able to understand, in the sense that, like, just from the composition and whatnot?
Fabulous. I didn't think too deeply into it, not gonna lie. I was just like watching it for enjoyment rather than like trying to analyze it too much, but I was re-listening to all the songs, as I'm sure you were too.
Oh yeah.
But like there's just so many like little riffs and things that they do that make it sound so like a period piece. Like in Eddie's song there's just like all these little brass bits that make it sound very like doo-wop, or like the opening numbers that are like old school romantic-y movies, almost like what would play along with a black and white movie. Because I was going to say that we get right into it with Brad and Janet, but of course there is the opening scene, the famous lips.
The hot red lips.
The hot red lips.
Coming at you thick and fast. I don't know. But it's Yeah, that like the red lips are like synonymous with this movie, and it's how it opens, and it's really interesting because that's like, so like I said, it was made on a stage production, so they obviously needed to, a lot of the stuff they could transfer over. Like I know a lot of the costumes are apparently the exact same. They just got done up for movies because you know, they don't need to look that detailed when people are sitting, you know, 20 rows back, but when you're watching it on a big screen, they need to look a bit better. But one of the things was this title scene, and originally it was sung by, oh my god, I'm going to forget the names of the characters. I think it was the character of Magenta comes out on the stage and she sings it with the guitar. And like I sent you the version, I don't know if you listened to that version I didn't send it to you, but I told you about
the Australian version?
Yeah, it's a much different song. It's but like even in the original London production, really different.
Because I went down a rabbit hole, and because I'm a masochist, I listened to some of the Glee version.
Oh, don't fucking do that to yourself. I was watching some of the anniversary show, and that's also garbage in my opinion, but it's fine. But then again, that's the thing about Rocky Horror. Everyone's allowed to have their own version of it, and that's why the whole events are about. But I can still think they're garbage.
Exactly. There's this one like kind of pure source, and then from there, as long as that is preserved, and it is in the film registry or whatever, then do as many covers, parodies, whatever you want.
But it's how James Bond has survived for so long.
Exactly.
Do whatever you want, but there's always the other stuff that you might like better. But yeah, this red lips kind of thing, like this wasn't obviously part of the stage production. Originally, I think Patricia Quinn, who was the voice of who played Magenta on stage, was like, great, I get to sing the opening song. And they got some actress to do the lips, and then she was going to sing the words. And then I may have mentioned him earlier, Richard O'Brien, the guy who made the show, made the stage production and wrote the songs, was like, yeah, I'm going to sing that song, actually, I think. I know it's normally your character, but actually, I think I'm going to do it instead.
I think I really embody it. Like, you know, it's me, Richard O'Brien from Crystal Maze. I'm going to sing this opening number.
And it's a great song because it's talking complete gibberish because it's talking all about like these different movies like Flash Gordon, The Invisible Man, King Kong, Forbidden Planet, like all these random movies spanning from like the 30s to the 70s in a vague reference to this movie. Like they say Brad and Janet at one point and you're like, oh, is this about this movie? And then you just realise, no, it's not.
Nope. It's just Richard O'Brien listing things he likes.
And I read something online which was kind of cool where it's like, what was interesting about Richard O'Brien taking over the singing part was that it kind of just leads into the theme of so it fits into this theme of androgyny without the entire movie as well, which I thought was like,
that's cool. Yeah, you are exactly setting up as it's gonna go.
Way to use a theme to just screw someone out of the job. Like
no, I'm doing this because I'm actually a feminist, Patricia.
I'm such an artist. You're out of the job.
So like, I know this is your role, but fuck you. So
exactly, but like I can understand vaguely. Like I think, and I've listened to. So again, I was going to talk about this a bit later. Where I went back and listened to the original Broadway West End recordings versus the movies. My God, did they do a great job with the movie? There's very few recorded. I think the singer for Janet in the West End one's pretty good, and Brad and Janet are pretty good. Which is funny because they're one of the only two people recast for the entire movie anyway. But I think they're a bit stronger in the musical. But yeah, this opening is just it makes no sense, but it's great.
No, it's exactly. It prepares you for exactly what's coming. You don't know what's going on? Great, buckle in. This is it. Like, it's not going to get much more coherent than this. One thing I will say that was pleasant about watching it on Disney Plus is, if you like listen to some of the songs or find clips on YouTube, oh my God, is it garbage quality? And then being able to see this in like from the movie, just like it's all 480p and garbage noise. Yeah. And then watching it on Disney, I was like, oh, I can see details and I can hear things. I was like, this is beautiful. Yeah.
And sorry, just one thing I want to talk about the music. I meant to add it in there as well. Which what I loved about it is to just combine so many genres as well. Like you've got the kind of the rock, the heavy rock. You got like that disco stuff with the time warp in a way. You've also got that American, like you said, that rock and roll stuff as well. Like or even like that American soul stuff with some of the saxophone stuff. It is great. And then you've got the ballads as well. Like it's a phenomenally balanced movie. Like some of the songs, like all the songs are kind of great. whether they be from a musical point of view or a character point of view. Like,
or like a story point of view.
Like, I would never go back and listen, oh my god, I love the song, I'll Make You a Man. But it's just, when you know the character of Frankenfurter, it's just like, this is excellent. You know, it's so fun. It's like, it's kind of like on quality of like, of Bo Burnham's Inside for anyone that's seen it, and that like, you know what I mean? As in like the songs are so funny that I'll listen to it for that rather than me just enjoying the song.
Yeah, they can stand alone and they move the story along.
Yeah, and I guess the other big thing, and we kind of mentioned it there, like just the sheer, like it was so outrageous at the time, but now it's just kind of hailed as this great, sort of source of, just sexual liberation, I guess, that's kind of come from this movie that I think was massive and probably unintentional. Like, they probably just wanted to make something fun and they didn't realize they'd have such responsibility for that going forward.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, we're going to be fun and edgy and like pushing the envelope, and now like for everyone on all gender and sexual spectrums, they're like, oh, maybe I too can be a man wearing fishnets or have sex with whoever I want, and everyone just have a fun campy time. We can all run around in our underwear. You know?
and it's funny because like so Tim Curry is straight, I believe. I don't know. Actually, I didn't mention checking to it, but like, you see him get with both Brad and Janet, but yet,
no questions and no nothing.
There's no like. But it's great because the characters are kind of like, how could you? And it's like, how could you? It's not like, wait, you're? Like,
exactly.
There's no question. Just like, how could you? But he's so charismatic. It's almost like, yeah, that's kind of fair.
All right.
And it's funny because I read something. It was great. It was like, so first of all, Tim Curry states that the character of Frankenfurter is pansexual.
Makes sense.
But what else was I read? Yeah, there was something. Apparently Tim Curry had described that, like, so he's quite the opposite of Frankenfurter because he's very, thoughtful and well spoken, whereas that he says his boisterous projecting mannerisms and booming voice are part of the inner demons that needed to be brought out brought out of him for his many dynamic acting roles throughout his career. So for this movie, he said the character of Frank really came to fruition when Tim started wearing the high-heeled shoes. And the director said something that I just think is so perfect to describe the character, which was that so his name is Jim Sharman, is the writer and director, and he says that Frankenfurter is the man every woman wanted to be and the woman that every man wanted to be.
Yes, exactly. It's beautiful. And like, God, we could sit here for hours and talk about it, but just like everything is so silly. The fact that we're saying with a straight face his name is Dr. Frankenfurter, as if this is like
with an English accent.
Oh yeah. Complete, except when it's a random northern accent.
So I looked into this because we were talking about this when we went on holidays recently about how
this was off air for proof that we actually are friends outside the podcast.
We had that mandatory check-in a couple of weeks ago, but
our quarterly
check-in, our AGM. But so apparently he was going to, so for the stage production he was going to do the voice as a German accent, but I think it was something that he heard some woman on the bus speaking in a very posh English accent, and he's based the voice off Queen Elizabeth II and her mother.
I can see that.
So when he's saying round and ground, we kind of perceive it as like a Northern Irish kind of ground. But
grind.
Yeah. But when you say it like the posh queen that I'm not going to try and attempt.
No.
Ground. Yes, the ground. Yeah, I don't fucking know.
This is great content.
I love it. This is going to be the Instagram. Like,
Pound.
So that's why he sounds weird at times, because he's trying to put on that posh royal Queen Elizabeth. Exactly.
Yes.
But yeah, and it's great. Like, again, just to go back to like, I think also the best part about the sexuality in this movie that I really enjoyed, which is a weird way to start a sentence.
Yeah, go for it.
But it's apparently Tim Curry once said that he got to meet Prince Charles and Prince Diana for some production of some other thing he was doing, and you meet them, what you call it, the line, and they come and they shake everyone's hand and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he was at the end of it, and then Prince Charles apparently was only like vaguely recognised Tim Curry, and apparently it's like, oh yes, I've seen you on the television, whereas Prince Diana apparently turned to Tim Curry and it said, and in quote, with a wicked smile, that Rocky Horror had quite completed her education.
Amazing.
How great is that?
That is fantastic.
So I hope they cover that in the new Diana Spencer movie with Kristen Stewart.
It has to be in every adaptation now. Every season of The Crown has to have them watching Rocky Horror on VHS.
It's just she has that. All of a sudden it's just like a shot of the doorway, and she has it on the TV, and then the door closes and you hear it lock.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, like I said, the songs are great. The first one we talked about there at length, probably the most iconic, well, one of the most iconic science fiction double feature. The next one being Damn It Janet, where we get to be introduced to the Damn It Janet and Brad.
I love this song. I remember, again, in secondary school, I had a friend whose parents were both actors, and she loved this movie, and she said that if she was ever to go into acting, she would want to be the background people who just go, Janet. Oh, Brad. And it is just the wordplay and the way that the rhythm lines up is so good in this song. And it's just, Brad, they come out of a wedding and he's like, you caught the bouquet so elegantly, Janet.
The other girls, the bride's bouquet.
And it's just in one sentence sets up oh, I love that. I'm so glad we met that one time in science class. And then they're engaged, and they have a song about it.
And I love it's just like they're going to celebrate by visiting their old science professor.
This science professor was hooking people up because they're at the wedding of two other people who met in this science class.
We didn't get a module like that at all.
No, I went to college with all of yous for fucking ever, and I'm not married to anyone.
Oh my god, I'm gonna make. No, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, this could get dangerous. These are risky waters.
Yeah. But it's great because it kind of introduces Janet and Brad being that classic American couple, from the 50s who love each other, and they're probably getting married too young and will despise each other by the age of 45. But it's great because he kind of, Brad's like a shy, nervous dude, and Janet's stunning looking, played by Susan Sarandon no less as well.
Susan Sarandon. I was gonna say, has Brad been in anything else? And if so, am I just missing it out?
Nah, he's not in a lot.
Susan Sarandon's the big name. She's one of the big names, but of the two of them, she's the big name.
So she apparently was. So they wanted big American actors for it, so that the movie would do well. Which is why Richard O'Brien got recast as Eddie, because they could get Meatloaf in. Susan Sarandon was another big deal. Funny enough, do you want to know who, there's some really interesting stuff. Do you know who auditioned for Brad?
Tell me.
Steve Martin.
Oh, I could
Couldn't you see it? Yeah, but it'd be a shame in a way, because I feel like maybe bar Susan Sarandon, a lot of these people are tied to this movie forever and can't escape it. Whereas I would have hated to see that happen to Steve Martin, but I think he was so big he wouldn't have been able to. Oh, another person. Do you want to know another person who was? This was ridiculous. Who was who apparently wanted to play Frankenfurter, but obviously wasn't picked. Mick Jagger.
Oh, that would be a very different movie. I would feel more uncomfortable. I feel like he'd be too into the persona. He'd be like, I'm the shit. And I was no, it's meant to be fun.
It's just I know Tim Curry is acting like he wants to fuck everyone, but I feel like you, Mick Jagger, might have fucked everyone.
Yeah, on the sound set, you're just I think Jagger's gonna fuck me later. Well, Tim Curry would be a gentleman.
I don't think he read the script. I think he's just showing up and knows everything.
Has he ever actually done acting, or is it just he's a name that you could attach?
He's a name. He's a name. He can sing. But I just thought that was really interesting. Imagine Steve Martin as Brad, but no, I think your man Barry Bostwick is both forgettable, has that kind of forgetfulness as Brad, but also just generally as an actor, because we do not know anything else he's been in.
Yeah, no. But that's the thing, he's probably, hopefully, if his contract was good, he is dining out on Rocky Horror for the rest of his life.
They aren't.
Oh, is that why? Oh no.
So, again, I did a lot of reading into this, apologies. So, Susan Sarandon doesn't like talking about this movie because she's quite bitter about the royalties. So they don't get any royalties from the DVDs or the VHS or anything. And this movie didn't make a lot of money at the time up front. And obviously it gets the limited series, but I think they might get a small percentage of that or not even. So this franchise, or not franchise, but this movie has made a lot of money to which they haven't seen a lot of it. So Susan Sarandon apparently doesn't like talking about it because she's quite bitter about it. Rightly so. Like
yeah, fair.
No, not in a bad way. Just more like, as in like, fuck you.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Because, they couldn't have known. They were like, we're making a stupid show that has barely any plot that will be, like, banned probably in cinemas and countries or whatever. So how could they have known it would have turned into, 4 decades on, it would still be as huge, bigger than it ever was.
And this came out roughly, I think, was it the same year, Star Wars? I don't know. I think Star Wars
75,
was 95.
Oh my god.
So, like, I think those are two movies that came out where it's like, did you have any idea how big this would be?
Yeah, no, you can never predict.
Also, another thing, I think she caught pneumonia as well shooting this.
Oh, I heard something about that, because she's in the nip practically half the time.
Oh my god, I have so much trivia. It's coming out the wazoo. So
we're never going to get to actually talking about the movie.
Never. It's just, it's because it was such a shoddily made production as well. Because it was all so cheap and they had to try and do everything on the fly.
It's all just plasterboard and sequins.
So for the song Touch It, Touch Me, they had asked her to do it fully nude, but apparently she flatly refused because she was like, I have been nude in so many other movies. She's like, can I just wear clothes, please?
Please, I know I'm in a sex movie.
I know.
But can I please?
I know I'm in a song that is practically saying "fuck me, fuck me, fuck me." But can we have a bit of class here,
please, Mr. T. Curry?
Yeah. Okay. Let's move through some of the other songs. So they're a good point. There's a light over at the Frankenstein place.
Oh, I love
good song.
There's a light. I like it, but it's not like a banger or anything.
Yeah.
But
gets the job
their
done.
Car, their flat tire busts, and they're like, let's just go into the house and ask to use their telephone. So they're like, oh, there's a light on over here.
Yeah,
this will be wonderful.
Teeny tiny little thing about the when they're in the car. Richard Nixon's resignation speech is on the radio, and that's the one thing Richard O'Brien hates about this, because he goes, damn it, it's tied it down to a time period.
A time and a place.
Yeah, but apparently he's came out and said no, Brad is just listening to a recording of that, so it can be anytime.
Yeah, because I was going to say,
that.
like, why would you make that decision at the time of filming to have it on?
I don't think it was his or something. I think it was the director.
Oh, gotcha.
Jim Sherman. So what happens is they go into the house, and then we get the time warp.
What
a song.
What a song. Yeah, this spooky hunchback kind of guy answers the door as like, yes, come on in. And they're like, we just want to use your telephone. We're going to do a 2-person reenactment of Rocky Horror.
It's astounding.
Time is fleeting.
You sound like Alan Rickman doing the timer.
Alan Rick-Raff.
Madness takes its turn. So listen closely. Sorry, no, this has gone off.
And then Magenta just appears, not for very much long.
Just Miss McGonagall out of nowhere. This is a great.
There's also a narrator who doesn't do much.
Well, I'm glad
who doesn't.
I'm fucking glad you mentioned the narrator, because it's time for our one and only Gary fact. This actor is called Charles Gray, and what's fantastic about him is that he's appeared in not one but 2 James Bond movies. He was in You Only Live Twice as Henderson, James Bond's best friend who gets drunk with in the books, but in the movie he just dies. And then he comes back in the Diamonds Are Forever 2 movies later as Blofeld for no fucking reason. So for me, this guy's like, he's both James Bond's ally and villain, and it's one of the only times someone has come back and been both, except for Jack Wade from The Living Daylights and GoldenEye, but we won't get into it. That's a Gary fact, ladies and gentlemen. Goodbye. The narrator. The narrator. Apparently Vincent Price was supposed to do it, but he had scheduling conflicts.
I heard that.
That
would have been great.
It would have been.
But I like this narrator.
Yeah.
I think Vincent Price would almost have been wasted.
I think Vincent Price
role.
would have been... and I think Vincent Price would have lent this legitimacy, which it's not supposed to have. It's supposed to be a parody of everything. And I feel like if you get him into this... It's almost gives it like, oh well, we're supposed to treat this like all the other, like Vincent Price, classic like horror movie narrator. He did a lot of like TV shows. He's the voice in Thriller as well. So like, you know, when you think of Spooky Scary Time and Spooky Season no less, you think of Vincent Price. So he would have been great.
Yeah,
for this,
it would be treated like, oh, this is now just a bad movie rather than like
but with
a fun bad movie.
With this guy, he has that legitimacy of being English and very posh, but also can be quite camp to be, you know, giving us the instructions of the time warp. Exactly.
He's just there to like kind of interrupt sometimes and then tell you that it's just a jump to the left.
Put your hands on your hips.
Exactly. But I love this. I was trying to imagine like what is actually happening for the minor characters. They've all been invited to the Frankenstein place,
to the
and the banner says like, are they Transylvanians?
That is my understanding of it, yes.
Because, there's a big banner that's like, Transylvania party or reunion or something, and I was like, are these just people actually coming for a party? Because then they eventually go and watch Frankenfurter do live science experiments, and I was like...
Yeah, I think it's like, I'm gonna do a thing, you're all welcome to come over and have a party about it, and I think that's it.
Do the time warp and eat.
What's the time warp?
Food. What's the time warp?
It's verbal garbage to basically be like, here's some like Richard O'Brien upstairs thinking time warp. Time travel is difficult to put in a movie. Let's just call it a time warp dance and not explain time warping.
And it's a step down or up depending on your view from the Macarena. It's very doable.
Yes.
And it gives you the instructions. It's a Mambo number 5, but for
it's
the weirdos.
Yeah. Although, I'll tell you what they need to do. Hold on. This podcast is going to be too long anyway. Cha-cha slide. Time warp. Remix. Oh, it exists. Gary from the future, if you could just put in a sample of this, that'd be great. Thank you. It's just a jump to the left. Slide to the left. Slide to the left. Put your hands on your hips.
On your hips. And now step to the left. Keep going left.
Everybody slide to step to the left. But it's great. What I love about this song from a story point of view is Brad and Janet. They went into this spooky place. It's dusty. It's scary. They don't know what to think of it, and then they just see this
gothic,
absolute outlandish dance. And
yes.
And it's one of the things I loved about this movie because it from this point onwards, it just doesn't let you settle at any point. But not from an intentional point of view, but like Richard O'Brien was like, I don't want to have to write like story or script or character
dialogue.
I just song, words, song. So it's just so fast paced, you don't get a chance to settle in.
Genuine song, change location, song, change location. So they're like horrified at these displays of like opulence, or I don't know, but you're like, it's just people in like party hats eating finger food from around the world. Yeah. There's a little Irish flag on one of the plates.
Is there?
Like, and I was like, what are they serving? I think it looked like sandwiches, and I was just like, oh. And then they're like, okay, no, we're going to just use your phone now. And then they're like, but the master's coming, and we get the introduction of Dr. Frank Unported.
So another cool thing about this movie was it was supposed to be black and white until the close-up on his lips.
I like that. That's cool.
So it's where, I don't know if you noticed, the pictures of the Mona Lisas are all black and white. And they're lit with the coloured lights. Because I think when they were shooting black and white, or they're thinking, oh, if we shoot black and white, it won't stand out, so we need to shine it with a coloured light so it stands out. So it was all supposed to be black and white until then. And then I think what happened was the studio were like, no. And then for like the 25th anniversary, they were like, we'll make it black and white, but I think it's from when they enter the building and all the fans. And there's obviously a big fan base who are like, fucked it. There's literally one point you're supposed. The lips are the whole point.
Have you not seen the goddamn movie?
But this song is
A Sweet Transvestite.
I think it's my favorite song. I think it's the most funnest song.
A 10 out of 10, absolutely.
How'd you do?
You've met my faithful handyman. But yeah, he comes out of the lift. He's got like a freight elevator in the house because spooky, scary scientist.
Yes.
And he's wearing a big cape, so you don't really see what's happening, but he's got the big heels on. They show the heels, and you're like, he was rocking those heels. We stand a short king. He's only like 5'8" or 5'9", apparently.
Yeah.
So in these heels, he's like 6 foot, and you're like, grand. And then, yeah, he like whips the cloak off in Sweet Transvestite, and he's wearing like corset, heels, fishnets on the legs, fishnet on the hands. He's got his makeup done. And Janet like faints 3 or 4 times. But she learns to enjoy what's going on in these castles beneath these spooky walls.
And it's great because it's like when you're thinking from the point of view of Brad and Janet, you're like, I'm sorry, what? What? I just want to use your phone.
I don't know what sex party I've interrupted, but like I just want to get my car up and running.
And it's great because Brad literally says that because in the song he's like, I'm glad we caught you at home. Can we use your phone? We don't want to be a bit of a worry.
We'll
just say where we are and head back to the car. Get back
to the car. He's misreading the room. Janet's like, she's like, dude, shut the fuck up.
But he's going to try to shake your man's hand and everything.
Like, yeah, he's like, well, I'm Brad Winters and this is my fiancée Janet.
I love that about the character. He's always so like, straight-laced, go over and shake a man's hand when you see him, and this game.
Oh yeah, homegrown, good American boy.
Yeah. And it's a great song because it introduces you to this this character who is just owning any scene he's in and letting everyone know what his proclivities are, and
absolutely, and his sort of three sort of sidekicks. The 2 main ones would be Magenta and Riff Raff. But then we also have Columbia, who's just fabulous.
Got a audio nightmare.
That's the thing. Her voice is like
piercing,
9 octaves higher than what everyone else is doing. But she crushes it. I love her. She's an adorable little character. I love Columbia.
Yeah, and like she was one of those outfits I was talking about earlier, where I think they did a lot for her outfit for the movie because they had to make it like sparkle more than you would on stage and shit.
Yeah.
But and like again, like this scene again, it's just he's talking about like how he's making a man with blonde hair and a tan, and it's just like, and then like the bit at the end, he's like, "Come up to the lab,
see what's on the slab. I'll make you shiver with anticipation."
But have you seen the Twitter?
The Twitter,
yeah.
Yes.
So there's a Twitter account for anyone that might not know, and it's like it's that same like lyric, but it says Antissa, and then was it like 7 years or something like that?
Something wild.
It was a crazy amount of
years and years
where they just replied patient.
But then they're quickly stripped of their clothing, Brad and Janet.
So this is one of the 2 questions I have for you.
Go for it.
1 is your favourite song, but we can cover that later. 2 being like, is lockdown's been long. I haven't been dating for a while. Do women generally wear an undergarment skirt under their skirt?
No, this does still exist in certain forms, but no, not at all. She's wearing what we would call a slip, or something like a slip, Gary. Do you know what a slip is?
I've seen Rocky Horror Picture Show now. I just love Brad is in like tidy whities, and then like Janet's in a bra, but like a skirt as well.
Another skirt under her skirt, yeah. And just straight away they're like, well, Brad's got a huge cock. Just like, they're all just like, ooh.
Yeah, I think from this point on, the movie just exponentially increases in
horniness.
In horniness, yeah. They should have called it the Rocky Horny Picture Show.
I love it, yeah. But yeah, they're like, oh, you got rained on, better take off everything. And now, go up to the lab. We're going to go see a science experiment.
Clothes, fuck off. We'll get the clothes. Shut up.
Yeah. Shut up, Tempest. Go to the lab. And they're just like shoved into the lift and brought up to where the live science experiment is going to happen.
such parentheses around science.
Yeah.
But it's just like, so he's, so Rocky, so Frankenfurter is making a man to fuck. That is the goal. That's his end goal, is to make a blonde-haired man with a tan and big muscles to fuck.
Like the sole, just like reason for sex.
Yeah, and it's funny.
That was on the thesis.
A lot of us humans like wonder what's the meaning of life. Rocky just needs to think, I'm getting fucked. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, I'm fucking and getting fucked.
Which is a bit disturbing when you consider that he's like, what, less than a day old and he's getting fucked.
Yes. And I don't know if you caught this, but he canonically has half a brain.
Oh, yes, because they took Eddie's brain. Half of Eddie's brain.
Yeah. Yeah, he was like, should I really have split it between the two of them? You're like, there's a lot of issues here, but also it is a sci-fi movie, so we'll suspend disbelief.
Another funny thing about his character is, not less so about the character, more about the actor. He can't sing, so all of his was dubbed.
Yeah, you can kind of tell.
You can tell, but also in the sense of like, you're not going to find someone that vocally trained and also, you know, be in that shape as well. That can act.
You're not getting all of it.
No, but apparently one of the things which we thought was kind of cool, because I noticed it in the movie, but I wasn't unsure about it, which is the makeup department made a little kind of cover for his belly button, because technically he wouldn't have one because Frankenfurter made him. And because I remember thinking about it, I was like, that lad's got a weird belly button.
That's all. You're like, there's nudity everywhere, and you're like, look at his belly button. Fucking
well, it's not like there's many zoom ups on his chest, like, at all times.
I do not remember seeing it. I don't know what that says about me or you, but I did not notice. But yeah, so one of the cool, so Frankenfurter's got this whole audience to like make a man, and I think the next song is sort of Damocles, I think. Sort of Damocles.
But I think one of the cool things is the science experiment involves adding different coloured water to this like vat with like a mummified man in it.
Oh yeah, it's a fish tank with a Scooby-Doo mummy in it.
Yeah.
You can be honest.
And he's like turning these dials and different like liquids are coming out, and it's funny because
and the electricity goes on and off.
Oh my god, I forgot about that as well. But one of the cool things which I read was apparently all of the colours were deliberate, because behind the scenes the audio, like they're not, there's no sound for it, but the director's like, blue, now green, now red. Which is funny. Excellent. Because one of the points of the movie, Tim Curry's just like, they must have said like green. He goes, where the fuck is? Oh, there it is. There's a bit where you can see he's just like visually confused about where the colour is.
Because they're just like little taps. They're like little taps in your bath to like, you know, bring this man to life. That's how you do it.
And it's great because, like, again, just to go back to like some of that LGBTQ plus stuff, like there's a rainbow like in the vat, which is just kind of like interesting stuff. Another kind of cool thing actually about Frankenfurter is that he puts on like a scrub, or like whatever it's called.
It's like a
gown kind of thing, like whatever.
Yes, like a surgical gown, yeah.
Surgical gown, and it's got like a little pink triangle on it, and it's something I learned in the Jojo Rabbit podcast, where I think in like Nazi Germany and stuff like that, they used to put pink triangles on like gay men. So I noticed that, and I was like, fuck, I've seen that before. So I thought that was like, that's definitely cool,
something.
Like, nod to just again like some of that representation in the movie, I guess.
Yeah, which again for 70s was like being fairly
huge, like
out there, you know. I love his outfit in the lab. He has like the surgical gown on, like big gloves, but also his string of pearls. He still has his like pearl necklace on. But yeah, so Rocky comes to life and has his song about like existential crisis.
Why am I here? Is it just to fuck?
This is terrible, yeah. And is it here or after where Frankenfurter's just like, I got you dumbbells. Yeah. Look at all this gym equipment I got you.
That's the song I Can Make You a Man. Where he's like, he'll do press-ups, chin-ups, and sip raw eggs. Oh yeah, it's like,
while all the Transylvanians are just like, woo, yes.
He'll eat protein and hike. Like, it's so great. It's just like Frankenfurter just being like, look at how well I'm gonna keep this man in shape while I fuck him.
Yeah, he's like, you all know, all I'm gonna do is ride him day in, day out.
But that's how that song. No, not yet. I think that's how that song ends.
I think
not.
so. So
no,
there's like a lot of cartoonish levers on the wall and like fake
so
buttons and things. And do they accidentally press a button to like open up the deep freeze?
Maybe, yeah. I think that's it, because at one point
it wasn't super clear how the deep freeze opens.
Yeah, because I'm just looking at my notes here, and one of the notes is the extras are so bad, a lot of them are out of sync. I don't know if you noticed that as well. Like, a lot of them just weren't in sync. And then I love this. One of my favorite. I had so many lines. I didn't write them all down, but one of them was like, I think Columbia or Magenta is like touching Rocky, and he's like, "I didn't make." Oh no, I'm skipping so far ahead.
Yes.
I'm skipping so far ahead. Sorry, but
I know the one. That's Save It.
Yeah. So Meatloaf comes out of the freezer.
The deep freeze, yes, on a motorbike. I adore this scene. So obviously this is a scene that when I watched it the first time, my friend got very excited, so this is like seared into my memory. But yeah, Columbia's like, it's Eddie! Like, she somehow knows he's in the freezer. And he comes out on his motorbike. He's got like a lobotomy scar. He's got like a big scar across his forehead. And he just starts, picking up his girl and playing the saxophone. And he's just like, whatever happened to partying? Rides around terrorizing people on his motorcycle.
So two cool things about this character. One, apparently Elvis Presley was the studio's first choice for the role.
Oh no.
And also apparently Elvis was actually expressed some interest in the role.
Okay.
But I'm kind of happier it's Meatloaf because again, Elvis lends legitimacy to it in a way. As in, like, to get Meatloaf, it's kind of funnier because it's...
Yeah, and like Meatloaf was doing sort of... He wasn't camp in his music, but he was doing the sort of like gothic-y, rocky stuff. Yeah. So for him to be in this isn't a big departure.
Yeah.
But if you get blue suede shoes to play this zombie man on a motorbike, you're a bit like... It's a tonal dissonance that you're like, I don't know how I feel about this.
And like, Meatloaf is already in that realm of, let's make art that involves... subtly non-subtle or non-subtle references to sex. You know that song Paradise by the Dashboard Light? The song song about fucking in a car? Meatloaf is very aware of how to do this sort of content. But I guess another kind of cool thing about this movie was that, or about the production, I guess, is that the person who for the Broadway show, the musical, not Broadway, I guess I'm saying Broadway, the West End musical. They eventually went to Broadway, but originally on West End. The person who plays Eddie also plays the doctor, who we'll talk about later on.
Oh,
and apparently Meatloaf was quite upset when he found out he didn't get to play the doctor.
He didn't get to play Dr. Scott.
And he was just like, he goes, okay, fine, but I think I would have done a better job. And I'm like, no, you wouldn't have.
Nah, I would have. He's too recognizable.
Yeah.
But, because it is so ridiculous. He is in this movie for like, what, 4 minutes? Maybe?
How long is the song Hot Patootie?
Exactly. He comes out of the deep freeze, he does his song, he rides around on a motorbike terrorizing the Transylvanians in this lab, and then
Tim Curry
Frankenfurter murders him. Just straight up
Frankenmurder.
Bashes his head in. Yeah, Frankenmurder.
Frankenmurder.
He just kills him, and you're like, well, that's a wrap on Meatloaf, everyone. Thank you, Meatloaf.
But it makes sense for the production.
It does,
like you can't pay for Meatloaf for multiple days. But also at the same time, I love that they clearly advertised heavily that Meatloaf was in this only to kill him off after what I've seen is the runtime, 3 minutes and 7 seconds. And he's probably in it for 53 seconds before and after. So we'll say 4 minutes.
Yeah. 4 minutes for Hot Patootie, which is a great song. But do you know, actually, I'm only realising this now. Do you know what makes me think of this? And this movie came later. But Scream. Have you seen Scream?
I actually haven't seen Scream.
Scream's a good one. It's good fun. Because a lot of stuff now would have borrowed from Scream. But Scream did it first. Yeah. The first 5 minutes it's Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
She's like on the phone. She's the babysitter. And spoiler alert for Scream. Spoiler alert for Gary.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, exactly. She's killed immediately.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's the same thing. They're like, we got Drew Barrymore. And then it's like, we got her for the opening.
Yeah.
Bye. That's like, we got Meatloaf. And she's dead.
Yeah. But he does the job. And Joe, what's really funny is I don't know. I read far too much into this. I think I over researched it, which I think was funny that like they obviously got
overthinking.
But they had obviously the stunt double for the motorbike. But there's scenes where you see Meatloaf like riding the motorbike, but it's like from the steering wheel to his face kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's great when
POV, you are Meatloaf's steering wheel.
But it's great because you realise that how they got those shots where they just pushed him around in a wheelchair. I just love the idea of him like mouthing the song Hoppatootie while he's being pushed around in a wheelchair. And like it's just,
that's someone's job.
It's just
the
really
intern on set that day, they were like, push Meatloaf harder.
Yeah. And
then
it's another
killed.
he's killed. I Can Make You a Man reprise, and they go off and fuck
and get married? Question mark?
They don't get married. They're just like that song comes on. I think less of the unison of their soul so much as one's dick to another's anus probably.
Yeah. Who's topping in that relationship? It's gotta be Rocky, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, that was the perfect time for your voice to break. In gay panic.
Well, no. Yes and no. Because you would say Rocky, but then again, we see what happens with Frank and Brad later on in the movie.
This is what I'm saying. Maybe Frankenfurter's a verse. Which is for versatile, Gary. He both tops and bottoms.
There you go. Didn't know. I thought they were just called. I thought they were called. Is that? I don't know if I'm going to offend people. Is that called? I thought they used to be called toppity bottoms.
Toppity bottoms. It's the old switcheroo.
That's so much better. Who do I speak to from the LGBTQ community to discuss nomenclature change from verse to switcheroo?
Well, see, this is me giving away too much here, but switch is also a different thing.
God damn. Okay, what about Uno reverse?
Yeah, Uno reverse card.
I think that should be one.
Frankenfurter's an Uno reverse.
Uno reverse. I think that's what else we got? Then we got so we move on to.
But no, this is where the great line is.
Yes.
So Frankenfurter's enamored and so impressed. Obviously he loves Rocky, but he's also like, this is my creation, like, admire him, isn't he wonderful? And Janet is loyal to her man for now. And she's like, well, I don't like men with a lot of muscles. And he's like, well, I didn't make him for you. Which I just love because he's like, isn't he good, isn't he great? Shut up, I don't care about your opinion.
No, actually, I think that comes after Sword of Damocles, and then during the song I Can Make You a Man, I remember she has that all of a sudden she's like, I'm a muscle man, just in the background of one of the songs.
Yes, you're right, I was slightly out of order. Exactly, she sees Rocky and she's like, maybe I don't mind a muscly man.
But it's just great because I just love Tim Curry's like, I didn't make him for you.
Shut up, bitch, take Brad. I've got Rocky.
Well, look, he's only got Rocky for so long because the next song, Janet gets Rocky.
Oh, is it immediately? Not immediately. What happens? They like get terrorized. Or what happens? Something happens where Rocky's like.
Oh, so what happens then? So what happened was they all go to bed, Brad and Janet, in separate bedrooms because they're only engaged. They're not married yet, and she's only ever kissed him. That's important. So what happens then is Frankenfurter, master of disguise, comes into
quite the voice actor.
Comes in to Janet's bedroom, pretending to be Brad. Fucks Janet.
Yes, but it is, because for a second I was rewatching this and I was like, oh no, is this going to be like an icky, like, assault scenario? But it's all very consensual.
Oh, it is actually, yeah.
Yeah, because at first you're like, oh god, he's sneaking in as Brad, is he going to, like, trick her? But no, she notices immediately that it's not.
It's false pretense.
The wig.
Yeah, it's false pretenses to begin with.
Exactly, but then he's like, but do you wanna? And she's like, okay.
She's just like, it's just like, you know when someone asks you if you want another pint or another like coffee, let's just say, for the non-drinkers, like, I shouldn't. You know? And then it becomes like...
It's like, do you want the last biscuit? Oh, no.
Oh, no. I couldn't well, oh, no, if you're... Okay, yeah, no, if you're gonna... Yeah, that's fine. Let's fuck.
Yeah. I mean, she, in the last 6 hours, has discovered her sexuality. She's like, oh.
Yeah, and I think that's a great, theme for this movie, and it's all about, like, it is all about, like, sexual liberation and discovering your sexuality and stuff like that, which I think it's kind of funny, because obviously your man Richard O'Brien was just like, fuck it. This is what I'm, this is what I'm feeling, and like, I think it's great, and obviously a lot of people, it just resonated with people, and I think Tim Curry came out and said, like, it's essential viewing for teenagers, because it's just like, he was just like, watch this and see how you feel after, and move on.
It'll start some conversations, it'll start some thoughts.
You might get really attracted to meatloaf after, and that's okay.
That's okay. You want to wear eyeshadow? That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. But what I love is, so he does, so he comes in as Brad to her. She, like, takes off the wig and is like, what have you done to Brad? And he's like, nothing. Do you think I should? And then, after presumably riding her, he goes into Brad and does the exact same thing. He goes in dressed as Janet. He notices immediately. And I love when they do this sort of, like, repetition trope. He's like, what have you done to Janet? Nothing. Do you think I should? Which is a lie at this point. He has done something to Janet.
We don't know. They could have been
There was a lot of just bouncing and shadow play. There was and yes, I remember now. So Riff Raff and Magenta, we can tell, are sort of jealous of Rocky. And all the attention.
Yeah, and the reason for that is Riff Raff is hinted to have done a lot of the work. So apparently there's that line where Riff Raff is like, everything's just awaiting your word. I said, it was something like that. I can't remember, but it's very much like, all you need to say is do it, and all the work I've done will get done.
Yes. All you have to do is flip the switch.
Yeah.
And you can fuck
the thing.
Out of this.
Fuck the thing I've been making. And I was watching an interview.
You get a boy toy. Out of this.
And I was watching an interview with Richard O'Brien where he was talking about how he was just like, there's such resentment from Riff Raff to Frankenfurter, because he's like, oh, so you're just really good at, like, biological transformations, and you can, like, do whatever you want, and you've made fix my hump! Come on! Just, like, look at what's on me!
My back! I am balding! I have a hump!
And you've decided to use your genius to build a fuckboy?
Yeah. He's like, oh, you're ugly. I don't want to fix you. I want a hot boy.
Yeah, and apparently, like, that's right. That he channeled a lot of that for the character, where it's just like he doesn't.
Amazing.
Although he serves Frankenfurter, he does it with such resentment because it's just like, you could fix me and you don't.
So we see that, like, Riff Raff not impressed. He's getting sick of this bullshit that Frankenfurter's pulling, so he releases Rocky.
No, he
scares
the
dogs.
No, he scares him with the chandel, like the candles, like fire, like hinting like the
which is a Frankenstein
monster. Yeah. And then Rocky breaks free, and then he's running around the grounds, and they release the dogs. And by the way, for a movie in 1975, it does a better job of depicting what futuristic technology did than Star Wars, because it predicted zoom, whereas Star Wars was like, oh, they'll just be weird holographic projections that come out of the floor, whereas just like there's just cameras and zooms all over the
yeah, exactly. And lightsabers. Where's my lightsaber? Don't know about that, but where are my?
I want to know where it is.
Sex parties.
Oh, trust me, they're everywhere.
We're just not having them. But,
get on to one of your Uno Reverso friends; they'll tell you where it is.
But poor Rocky's being chased by these dogs, and he's like scared and frightened, and Janet finds him and is like, I'll take care of you, and she rips her slip, the aforementioned slip, to become bandages for him, and she's like, oh, I'm gonna take care of him, and then it's like, oh, I'm gonna fuck you. I don't even know how it happens. Does he like... I think they just look at each other for long enough and they're both like, yep, this is happening.
And what's great about this was I was watching so I think we had agreed we were going to do this this movie, and I was watching a show called Kidding. By the way, if anyone hasn't seen Kidding, it's got Jim Carrey in it, and not the Jim Carrey you'd expect. It's a very nuanced show that's very, very good. But basically, he plays like a Mr. Rogers-esque character, and his wife is divorcing him. He's got a kid, but like, you know, he's obviously not very overtly sexual. But they're like, but basically one of their they have two kids, but one of them, like, spoiler alert in the first episode, but he dies, and they get divorced and his life's going to shit and he's obviously not been with anyone in ages, but he sleeps with someone, and there's a scene where he's just in like the costume department. He's just full of like just in with all the like costumes and stuff, and he's going touch it, touch it, touch it, touch, and he's singing the song, and I'm like, that is perfect for this character, because it's like a sexually repressed character who's like had a sexual awakening is now singing this song. So I enjoy. So it was in this movie, and I saw it in this TV show I love called Kidding. It's on Now TV for anyone that has it. Please watch it. It's great. And I was just like, fuck, I can't wait to watch Rocky Horror. And then eventually it comes up with this.
This is the point when I was young that I was like, oh, I shouldn't be watching this. Because at this point, you don't need nuance. She's like, touch me. I want to be dirty. I haven't had sex before. And I was like, I think she's trying to say something.
I think the first verse is, I was feeling done in, couldn't win. I'd only ever kissed before. And then the two characters watching on the Zoom link from upstairs were like, you mean she? And the other one's like, uh-huh. And then I was like,
oh, actually, so maybe she didn't with Frankenfurter then, if she is singing to Rocky that she hasn't.
Ah, that's a good point. Yeah, maybe. But
maybe they just kissed on the bed
with heavy dry humping. But
yeah, because we do see on the Zoom link later that Brad's like smoking a cigarette on the side of the bed, so he definitely got 100%. But Janet's like, I've only kissed.
I forgot about Brad smoking. That's fantastic. But again, it's just so funny because he's that American clean cut kind of guy. You wouldn't think him to smoke, but he does. But just to finish the last lyrics of this verse, which was
do it.
I was like, I thought there's no use to getting into heavy petting. It only leads to trouble and seat wetting.
Yeah, I didn't remember the seat wetting lyric. I was like, girl, did you piss yourself?
I don't think it's piss.
No, I know, but I'm just like, because when you think of wetting, you know,
True.
when someone says I wet myself, you're not like, they're turned on.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, like you never say like, oh, she's wet.
Indeed.
Yeah. So that connotation as well.
But yeah. And then she's like, hello, 7-hour man. Let's have sex in the fish tank that you were built in.
Joe, I think I'm just going to read the entire lyrics. I don't care how long this podcast is. Now all I want to know is how to... I love that I'm doing this in the driest voice as well. Now all I want to know is how to go. I've tasted blood and I want more. Parentheses.
More.
Thank you. I'll put up no resistance. I want to stay the distance. I've got an itch to scratch. I need assistance. Touch me. I wanna be dirty. Thrill me, chill me, fulfill me, creature of the night. And then it goes, then if anything grows while you pose, I'll oil you up and rub you down.
Down.
And that's just one small fraction of the main attraction. You need a friendly hand and I need the action. And then it just goes, touch me. Yeah, very overtly, like, as in, like, I think this is the bit where it was just very much, this is the fuck me song.
Oh, you know, this is going to be me on nightclubs. Just like...
First 22nd of October. Touch it.
me. And then I'll get the creatures of the night.
That's great. I enjoyed that as well.
Actually, how would you rate the song? How would you rate Touch Me as a song?
Out of, 6 out of 9.
Hey, that's perfect. Moving on.
Where we got now? Eddie. This is great. I love this.
Oh, no, so, I mean, slightly before that, Dr. Scott.
Yeah. The person they're going to see comes to visit because... so they're going to visit Dr. Scott, but what happens is Dr. Scott also happens to be the uncle of Eddie, who sent him a note, so Dr. Scott shows up at the house.
Yes, and it turns out that Dr. Scott and Dr. Frank Unported are something of enemies in the scientific community. They're scientific rivals.
A real Tesla versus Einstein here.
Oh, absolutely. Like, when we were at college and there was one elderly, doddery professor in a wheelchair and a blanket, and then the cross-dressing lecturer who had the fishnets, and they were on par with each other. This is, No, you can't use their actual name.
I'll bleep that, it's fine.
Unported.
Oh, it's gonna hurt so much to bleep that.
We can release it to just our...
For anyone that went to college with me in Sorcha and that wants to know what that bleeped word is, I will send you I'll send you this audio.
I'll send you the uncensored version.
DM at Reeling in the Piers on Instagram. And if you didn't go to college, you want to know, why not? I'll send it to you as well. Just DM at Instagram at Reeling in the Piers. So this song, what happens is Dr. Scott is invited to dinner.
Yeah, he shows up because he's like, where's my nephew? And they're just like, oh, we can't talk about that. It's dinner time.
Yeah. And so this dinner scene is happening where I think Janet at this point knows that Brad fucked Frankenfurter.
When's the amazing moment of just like, Dr. Scott, Rocky, Janet, Brad, Dr. Scott? When does that happen?
That must be before. That must be when they all come into the main operating theatre.
So everyone, Frankenfurter and Brad end up back in the lab. Can't remember exactly why, but Riff Raff sees on the old security cameras someone out on the Zoom link. He sees someone out in the forest. It's just like this forest floor with a man in a wheelchair, and you're like, how did he get there? It looks like he was just plopped into the forest floor. Anyway, but as chance would have it, Brad recognizes him, and he's like, that's Dr. Scott, my old science teacher who like hooked me and Janet up, and also our other two classmates. And Riff Raff is like,
we took the fuck module.
We took it. Oh, that's what we did wrong, Gary. We never took that fuck module. Oh, ridiculous.
I took Fourier analysis instead.
Exactly. I took, plasmonic materials over fuck analysis.
Over fuck. They used to have that up in the arts block. That's why we never went to it.
Exactly, it was too far away. We only got that 1 hour break a day, and I'm not going to go to that JCR when our JCR is closer. But Brad recognizes Dr. Scott, and Riff Raff kind of slips up a little bit in his demeanor and says, like, you recognize this earthling? I mean, person? And Dr. Scott... Oh, then they are in the lab, and just to their left is the fuck tank.
The fuck tank? I feel like we should have been calling everything the fuck something.
Yeah. The fuck ray.
The fuck ray.
The fuck lift.
The fuck...
time
fuck,
fuck.
The fuck warp. It's just to jump to the left.
Yeah, that's how I've been doing it.
Then a fuck to the right.
Put your hands on your hips.
Put your hands on their hips.
That is better. If you put your hands on your hips, you might just face plant onto them.
And then, you use the same lyrics. It's a pelvic thrust. It really drives you insane.
Indeed. And you screech it into their ear at top volume, wearing a party hat. Let's do the time fuck again.
Okay. So, what happens then is, I'm going to get this on track. Frankenfurter discovers that Janet and Rocky have fucked. And what happens then is he gets very angry, and then he sees this Dr. Scott at the door, who also he's like, fuck this guy, and not fuck this guy, he doesn't fuck him yet. And what happens is like,
metaphorically fuck this guy.
Yeah, he's like, God damn it, this person. So what happens then is he uses a lever to his left, which is a magnet, but only for wheelchairs to go up a direct course up the stairs. It's a very funny scene of just the wheelchair just going up the stairs perfectly. And what's great is that he smashes through the wall.
Yeah. Dr. Scott, the wheelchair just like blasts through the wall because apparently they just forgot to build another door into the lab.
So what happened was apparently
because they come up by the lift, so there's no stairs technically into the lab.
The only door is the deep freeze, and apparently they were like, it'd be great if he just smashes through the door, and they're like, yeah. Wait, we don't have a door.
We have the wedding chapel, we have the deep freeze, we have the fuck tank, we have the observation deck for the Transylvanians.
No, first of all, please, come on. There's the fuck chapel, the fuck tank, and the fuck deck. But so he smashes through, and then what happens? Riff Raff and Magenta come through that door, like the hole in which Dr. Scott came through. Was like, guys, look, you're gonna have to wrap this up. It's dinner time. So
dinner's ready. Your dinner's gonna get cold.
They all sit down at this table, and it leads to just some fantastic acting by Tim Curry as he's just very angrily carving a turkey, knowing that Janet and Rocky have fucked and that Dr. Scott's here. And
that Brad and Rocky, and Brad and Dr. Frankenfurter have fucked.
Well, Frankenfurter's not upset by that, but I think at this point, Janet might know as well, because there's that whole exchange in the I was going to say the laboratory,
in the fuck lab.
I was going to say.
Listen, we've lost control.
I was going to say the fuckatory. But I think this might be the one podcast where I get taken down for too much swearing. But
maybe.
Can we say the make?
There's a content warning on this
Can
one.
we say make lovatory?
I think so. From now on, we shall refer to it only as the sanctity of making love.
Making love. Making feet for little shoes, I think.
I hate that term.
Belly slapping. The horizontal hula.
Oh, that's slightly better. You were just coming out with these eye-watering analogies.
Funny enough, just to go back to our college days, me, Sarah, and Lily looked up all these different like alternative ways to say fuck during.
Okay.
I think it was just me and Sarah while Lily did work.
That sounds more. That sounds more like it.
Yeah, Lily, podcast guest, many a times on this,
and excellent student as opposed to the rest of us.
Yeah, exactly. So what happens then is there's this dinner, everyone's getting all angry at each other, and then
it's not just any dinner. It is Rocky's birthday dinner, and they sing happy birthday to him. And Frankenfurter puts on a party hat, very seriously, and then is very grumpily is like, happy birthday to you. Yeah. And then they sit down and have a tense dinner, and they're like, Dr. Scott, why are you here? And he has like a letter from Eddie, and he goes into his song about like why he was called here, and Eddie basically, from the deep freeze, I guess, or just before the deep freeze, wrote a letter to his uncle being like, come save me.
Well, it's implied that Frankenfurter has fucked or made love with Columbia, Eddie, and then
Magenta and Riffraff?
No, I think it's, and then, I don't know, maybe, and then it's Rocky.
Oh no, you're right. It was Columbia, then Eddie, then Rocky.
Yeah, and it's just this whole thing, and it is. I don't know. Is it meant to have that layer on it of just not being able to like stay in a stable relationship and just be a dick? I don't know if it's meant to have any of that shit in it, but it's just like
but he's just using them and tossing them aside.
And it goes back to how like Frankenfurter, as much as we're seeing him being like eccentric and being like I'll fuck anybody, that he actually doesn't think about people's feelings and how he leaves them both. Whether you're someone like Columbia who's like hurt by the whole experience, or Eddie who has half a brain frozen and then absolutely mauled to death with a pickaxe, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I hope Eddie and Columbia had a loving relationship for at least some time, because Columbia has a wall-sized like wallpaper picture of him.
But that Eddie song, I love it, because just to go back to why I don't think Meatloaf would have been great was because he got this guy and he's just doing this German accent and I
very
think
dry performance.
Yeah, and I think I know you enjoyed it and I did, and it was
oh, fuck you. Untitled.
And he's great, and again it goes back to some of that like German scientist from some of that from those other like sci-fi horror movies and such.
And Frankenfurter pulls away the tablecloth, and the table is actually like a Snow White casket with Eddie inside. And then
did you hear that? Did you hear this? Were you speaking to people recently where you heard about this? Where apparently they didn't tell any of the actor or the actresses that the Meatloaf
like dummy
prop corpse would be there. So apparently I think the only people that knew were Tim Curry, Richard O'Brien, and obviously Meatloaf. But they didn't tell everyone, so a lot of it was a genuine reaction. And I
love it.
I think someone got injured. Let me double check. No, what happens is Barry Bostwick pounds his fist during the table scene, but he accidentally slams it onto Susan Sarandon's hand.
Oh no!
So the reaction of her being like shocked by, Brad's anger is like, oh my god, you just punched my hand.
And now there's a corpse.
But it's funny because she gets her revenge later on, because there's a scene that involves spike heels, and let's just say one went through his foot. Didn't go through his foot, but she like stood on him. Like,
ooh, yep.
But
then they're just running around, and Frankenfurter chases Janet just roasting her about how, like, she's not that much, the sex was shit.
Planet, Schmanet, Janet.
I love, they managed to do so many, I say so many, but 2 songs, with a lot of, like, Janet wising. Janet rhyming.
Oh, yeah. My favourite thing was, what was it? It's like, you're sensual as a pencil.
Yeah, you're as sensual as a pencil.
Hold on.
And she's just like, you beastly man! And then what else is happening while that's... He's mainly just chasing... Oh, they're all trying to get back to the lab. Some of them are in the lift and she's being chased around.
Yeah.
Like a sexy Scooby-Doo. They're all just, like, running around in their underwear.
Yeah. And it gets to the point where... Because, no, I think she's in her underwear. Brad's in his fuck gown. Or should I say made-love gown.
Make-loving gown.
Post-made-love gown.
Post-coital gown.
Post-coital gown. My God. I feel like a lot of the horror movies come out of, the horror stories coming out of Hollywood is always like, and he wore his post-coital gown.
Yeah, no, not a good look.
But, it's, yes, they all get up to the lab then, and Frankenfurter is like, you know what, I've kind of had enough of all this. I'm turning you all into statues.
Yep. The feet freeze. He has a feet freezing ray and a wheel freezing ray.
And he just decides, you know what, I'm going to turn you all into like naked, Greek or Latin Roman statues.
With his Medusa ray.
Yeah, that makes sense vaguely.
And this is where the song Hot Dog is.
Oh yes, Planet Hot Dog.
Where they just say, you're a hot dog. And don't you hurt her, Frankfurter.
You're a hot dog. And then this
Frankfurter.
And this all leads to him basically dressing them up in like burlesque clothing to do a musical number at the end for his entertainment.
Don't forget that just before this entertainment number, Magenta and Riff Raff are like... we're also sick of Frankenfurter. We want to go back to Transylvania. And they're kissing siblings. Siblings who kiss.
Are they siblings?
Yes, he refers to, like, your brother Riff Raff at one point.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, indeed.
Yes.
They're siblings.
Oh.
This is... If anyone is watching this in their formative years, don't take this advice.
No. Like,
everything else is above
if you want to wear fishnets and eyelining and, sleep with whoever you want, just don't be related to them.
Yeah, and this is the baseline. This isn't kink shaming, this is illegal. But that's all. That's a weird... because... spoiler.
No, we're going to, because I do like saying, ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to get into a bit of a spooky, scary spoilers.
I think at this point we get the idea that they might be the bad guys, because like they don't like Frankenfurter and they're scheming and they're kissing and it's incest.
Oh, we're in spoilers now, so we can just flat out say they're all aliens from the planet Transylvania. No.
The planet transsexual from the universe of Transylvania.
Sorry, I got confused there.
God, you clearly didn't do astrophysics in college.
I'm not up on my LGBTQ terms. All I know is top, bottom, and uno reverso.
Uno reverso. And previous guest of the show, astrophysics major, Orla can tell us definitely about the planet transsexual in the galaxy Transylvania.
So yeah, Frankenfurter puts on this whole show. The song Rose Tint My World, that's just... What's that about? That's just generally just like...
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna play my way. He's like a sulking child.
Yeah.
He dresses up his toys for the floor show.
Yeah. And they're all doing their bit, and then it just becomes this weird Don't Dream It, Be It sort of song, which I think... It's not really... No one... I feel like it's not one of the biggest songs, but I feel like it probably has the most meaning of any of the songs in this movie.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It's the takeaway quote. Don't dream it, be it. Which is very lovely, but yeah, this is where the music sags for me a little bit.
Yeah, I think it becomes...
Just these two, like sort of, when they come back to life as statues and Don't Dream It, Be It, is just they feel a bit more like filler.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like, for this scene, it's meant to have all the emotional weight where we kind of understand, I guess, Frankenfurter's motives behind everything, and it's kind of like, I don't know if it's meant to be kind of a case of like, you know, if you're watching this and you don't think that this is like a thing that's allowed, like, you know, just don't dream it. Like, you can sleep with it wherever you want, or express yourself wherever you want. But I do think it's kind of a case of like the music isn't great, so it's kind of like it's not as catchy as Sweet Transvestite or Time Warp, so it doesn't have the same like lasting effects, but also maybe the enjoyment during the scene, I guess. So
yeah, it's trying to be a bit more serious, which is kind of a turn for this movie that you're not maybe expecting. But I'd say for a lot of people it is weighty.
Oh,
but if
God,
it doesn't do it, if it doesn't do it for you, don't worry. When all the statues come back to life, we get nipples from Colombia.
Oh yes, I forgot about that. So I was so distracted by the fact that everyone knew how to dance in heels except for the guy who played Rocky. I don't, but like I know that was probably the character Rocky not knowing how to walk in heels. But all I could think of it was the actor being like, I had no idea how to do any of this.
All I can do is be muscular.
I wake up, I'm muscular. That is what I do. You're asking me to sing and walk in heels? No go.
I've got a feather boa and it's itchy and just like. And there's a lady with her tits out beside me. How am I meant to concentrate?
But yeah, it's just a weird, like, again, like anything like this movie, just overtly sexual scene. That is trying to have heart as well. But I think what's great is, in a way, Riff Raff and Magenta come in and be like, what are you doing? Like, what the fuck? What's this? Yeah. What is
they
this?
Kind of the tension.
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing? Like, we're here to do a thing and you're not doing the fucking thing, alright?
We had a deal. Yeah. Stop your pool orgy and let us go.
Get the fuck, come on. And and then like the whole alien plot comes to light then. Because we should have seen it coming. It had mad scientists, it had, you know, the horror element, it had clone, like the Frankenstein thing and everything. And then aliens, of course, why not aliens?
Yeah, when I saw this for the first time, I felt a bit cheated, but I also was too dim to understand kind of the setup that was happening. I was like, aliens, that's just ridiculous. And now as an adult, I'm like, sir, the whole movie's ridiculous. I think you were trying to read too much into this sex movie. Sorry, this making love movie.
Making love movie, yes, please. Thank you. Come on, there's children
This
listening to
making love film.
Yes, this love film. Sex tape. But
sex video.
Sex video. So yeah, what happens then is the two of them kill Frankenfurter, and they're like, you know what, we're going back to our planet. You can just do whatever the fuck you want. And everyone just has to like run out of the building. There's also this the superhero song as well. Or there's I'm Going Home when Frankenfurter's like dying.
And there's a great King Kong homage.
Yeah, it's literally the last note I have, which is Kong symbolism is a bit much.
Yeah. But it is, like, they set it up. It's, again, silly and stupid, but, like, in science fiction double feature, I think they mention it. Yeah. They mention King Kong. And then, Frankfurter's singing Whatever Happened to Fay Ray, and I think he sees himself as, like, this protagonist of a wonderful Hollywood movie, and he's actually just, like, a weird sex scientist alien.
Yeah. Again, we could spend all day trying to get to the mindset of Frankenfurter and what he's going for here. But like it takes a lot for a guy to build a clone built to his specifications of what he wants to fuck, to then be like, I've done that. Now there's two plain looking white people here that I also want to fuck.
Look at these two slices of white bread.
I didn't. But and like they escape, and then the house, and there's that great like in the superhero, I think it's superhero song, where the criminologist, I think it's called, or the narrator, is kind of just talking, just describing like some of the events and stuff, and the house then is a spaceship, and it goes into space. Yeah, this old Victorian or manor or whatever the fuck is a spaceship. Yeah. And
one line I like before that is Riff Raff shoots Columbia, Frankenfurter, and then Rocky. Yes. And Magenta's like, I thought you liked them. They liked you. And he's like, they never liked me. And it's just, again, always breaking the tension. Yeah. Which is, I just like, I thought you liked them. Like, yeah, kill Frankenfurter, but what did poor old Columbia ever do? She wore her PJs and her little Mickey Mouse ears.
Did you hear her during the time warp? My God, my eardrums.
I was walking down the street just to have a drink. I can sing the whole bit. I'm obsessed with it, but I won't.
Thank you.
I absolutely will not.
I think we've exceeded our quota of singing the songs from this movie.
Possibly. You and me should go to a sing along of this and just like go completely hammered, and it'll be wonderful.
Absolutely. I'd actually love to go. That's one thing I'd like. Again, like, oh yeah, the movie ends. Whatever the fuck, they escape. Brad and Janet have been changed forever in the sense that, like, you know, the whole sexual liberation. Do they stay together? Do they not? It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. I guess like I'd love to go see the one of the event things where you speak
yes,
back
exactly,
to...
because someone mentioned to me, like, oh, it's on in the Board Gosh, and I'm like, yeah, but I don't think I can show up to the Board Gosh, like, or the Grand Canal Theatre, or whatever it's called, like, dressed up and screaming at the stage. I feel like that's a bit too... It'll be like, it's like, we're going to see a show, and I'm like, nah, I want to go to some dingy little theatre, like... Not dingy, but something like a Vicar Street where, like, you can heckle and whatever and do the whole thing. I'd love to.
Because I have here, like, apparently they, like, you know, you bring rice to throw at the wedding. There's water pistols during the rain scenes. There's flashlights.
There's toast at some point.
Flashlights for there's a light scene. Rubber gloves for the Rocky creation scene. There's the noisemakers for when they applaud the creation. Toilet paper to throw when they say Great Scott. Confetti. Toast for when Frankenfurter proposes a toast. They all throw toast.
Yes.
There's just all stuff like that. It just seems gas.
And
again,
I absolutely bucket list need to do that.
And again, it just goes to show, like, not only is it a great movie, but it's something that spawned such love and such fandom from it that, like, I know that, but, like, I feel like you could never get in an argument about this movie with someone, in the sense that, like, you could talk about it, but you'd never get in an argument, whereas I feel like something that has a massive fandom, like an Avengers, I feel like you could say something and it'd be all fucking argument, you know what I mean? Whereas I feel like there's such love behind Rocky Horror. Yes,
there's such, like, love and power. Like, at this point you cannot deny its impact. Like, if there's an Avengers, you know, screening in 40 years where they're all, I don't know, talking along, like, we can eat our words then, but this film has really stood the test of time and has only gone from strength to strength, like.
Absolutely. And I guess just one of the other things I just did want to ask before we wrap up was, what is your favourite song? What's the one that sticks with you the most?
Even though Time Warp is a 10 out of 10 song, it's not my favourite, because I'm like, we all know it, it's fine. Damn It, Janet is up there for me, as is Hot Patootie. Because just like, he's here, he's gone, there we go, thank you, Meatloaf. And I like Light over at the Frankenstein Place.
Okay.
I think it's an underrated... You're going to say something and I'll be like, oh, that's also a class song. It's so hard
Sweet Transvestite is, like, in my opinion, the best, because it just, from a musical point of view, I think it's fantastic, and also from the performance, but then also what it sets up for the movie. I think it's just, like, it perfectly encapsulates this movie. So that's probably my favourite.
That's the thing. You could ask me this on a different day every week, and a different day of the week, and I will have whatever my mood is. I'll be like, oh my god, Janet Weiss, like, Who Better Buys Up Janet Weiss. Of course it's that one, or, you know, something else. It's too good.
Yeah. Well, like, look, Sorcha, this has been astounding, you know, but time, you know, it's definitely fleeting, and all I can say is that madness has most definitely taken control. But look, listen closely, and I swear to God it's not for much longer, you know. Look, I've just got to keep some control of this podcast, okay?
Gary, I'm going to kill you. I cannot believe you are trolling me like this.
Oh my god. Okay.
I remember doing the time warp, drinking those moments when...
For anyone looking away to escape the podcast, it's just a quick jump to the left.
Fuck you!
Look, if you want to look particularly angry at me, Sorcha, all you gotta do is put your hands on your hips.
And bring your knees in tight.
Okay, right. When you
wait, am I meant to pelvic thrust at you? Is that like an intimidation tactic?
Don't worry. Save that for the 22nd of October.
Yes, Boys of Dublin, Be ready, be afraid.
Sorcha, Ní Lachlan, fantastic as always. I love that this has managed to go nearly as long as the actual movie itself.
And it could go longer, there's enough to talk about.
Look, I know you enjoyed it. And I did. So I guess...
Oh my god. I'm never speaking to you again. But that's, I mean...
So, all that's left to say is, Sorcha, thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anything else?
It's been wonderful.
Anything else to add or wrap up?
Stay sexy, stay safe, stay consensual, and have a good spooky season.
Have a spooky season, guys. Thanks a mil. For anyone who's listened to this or any other podcasts, thank you. If you want to keep up to date with the podcasts and know when new ones are coming out, whatever we're doing, you can follow at Reading in the Peers on Instagram. You can follow on Spotify. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Again, thank you very much for listening. We hope you keep an eye out for the next one and await with anticipation.